I think Philly is still the best team. I think they have the good amount of talent. I think they have good amount of defense. Hate their coach, but they know each other's tendencies. So
greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast, the global authority on coaching leadership, where coaching wisdom meets real talk. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and on today's Top Shelf Tuesday edition, we are previewing the NFC East. Dallas defensive fix, Philly at the crossroads, fading the Commanders, and tell the Giants players stop being so young. With us today, our senior college academic advisor, Dr. Jamel Donner, is with us. Academic and athletic consultant George Ockett is here, and captain for life, Will Cotton, is with us. Segment 1, we'll talk about the teams. Segment 2, we'll talk about the players. And in segment 3, we will talk about things strictly for entertainment purposes only. So let's go and get this going here. So the Philadelphia Eagles claimed their second consecutive NFC East title in 2025, breaking a 20-year drought of repeat champions. Despite the historic feat, 2025 was viewed as a universal disappointment for the Eagles as they suffered an early wild card exit. The Dallas Cowboys are entering training camp with a remarkably drama-free summer. Very boring. I like boring. But you also have the highest paid fourth-round draft pick quarterback ever in the history of the NFL. The New York Giants are sweating bullets and blanking bricks because you got John Harbaugh as coach. You got Cam Scatterboo coming back from injuries, doing backflips. You got Jaxson Dart. It's a lot going on there. And the Washington Commanders are looking to bounce back from a turbulent campaign. Dan Quinn's still coaching, right? So how are we going to handle all of this? Will, I'm going to start with you. Talk about the teams in the NFC East, as this is our home division being based out of the DMV.
Man, if everything is going on in Philly, I don't see a team other than these to actually win the division. I think Philly is still the best team. I think they have the good amount of talent. I think they have good amount of defense. Hate their coach, but they know each other's tendencies. So and they still got a great running back. You got Saquon Barkley. I mean, come on, you still DeVonta Smith. A lot of disrespect, but I still have a lot of respect for the Eagles. Dallas, I think Dallas is another team is trying to figure it out. They're really in the position, but they're so muddled and mixed up, and it's just like a mixed bag of things. It's like you'll get Tootsie Rolls and Jolly Ranchers. Like, it don't go together. It's just a mixed bag, and you'll get some wins, because they have real talent, but those end of the season kind of wins, like October, November, December, the ones you got to win, the ones on the road, the ones that are cold, we'll see. And if Dak is behind there under center, there's going to have some unfortunate interceptions at some point. The Giants, I think all the issues are in the locker room, and coach, like you said, the best thing that you can do is win. And I don't think they can win enough to support that locker room. Now if they came out and they had 10, 11, 12, 13 wins, and people are going to forget who's rooting for what or who voted for Trump. But when you come out there and you get, 1-6, 2-5, things like that, people gonna remember, like, man, remember you voted for Trump, blah, 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 blah. I think they just have a lot of very weird personalities there. And I expect the kind of same thing then until they figure out what the identity is, and it's just all over the place. And obviously, Commanders, I don't expect much. I just want him to be healthy, kind of go through the season. I want our quarterback to play at least a good majority of the games. I know he's not going to play all of them. I mean, that's the norm now that we play, 17, 18 games, something like that. I want them to look like a team, though. I don't want a team like an embarrassed team that they did last season, but 2 seasons ago, they were exciting. They were fun. They were winning games that no one expected they were going to win. So, yeah, but again, you have to kind of throw that out the window and say, we're a young team that's growing. The defense got much faster and younger. I won't say better because they haven't really got on the field yet. But I think there are a lot of question marks on the offensive side of the ball, especially at running back, especially at wide receiver. They have a new tight end that was brought in that was very young and youthful, and people had a lot of things about him. But there's a lot of question marks on they're all question marks on both sides, but I feel like they answered a lot of those on the defensive side. There's still the offensive side we got to worry about. But I still think, long story short, it's Eagles to lose, in my opinion.
All right. Now, truth be told, George is what I like to call the fair Cowboys fan. Will is the fair Commanders fan. George will call a spade, if you will. George, this is your division. This is I-95 plus that team in Dallas. What are you thinking about the NFC East?
Start off with Commanders. I don't. Whatever happens, that secondary and that offensive line still scares me. That's where the work. I know they drafting one safety is not going to solve the problems in the secondary because their corners are horrible. So that still scares me with them. With their offensive line, keeping and I like Daniels, great kid, and we've talked about him a number of times. So he got some talent, and I always said you can go back, like Will check the tape. I was worried about him and him being able to take shots, and that offensive line has not been good at keeping him upright. So that right there scares me when it comes to the Commanders. Um, I'm with Will with the Giants. That locker room, I don't care if Harbaugh's there. I don't care if John Kennedy's coaching. That locker room's a mess right now. So I don't know Martin Luther King or whoever you got to bring in there to get some things straight and everything, because I think there's going to be some division there, and I don't know if they can put that puzzle back together. And as they lose two in a row or maybe three in a row, you're going to see that thing fracture like they never fractured before. And they got it's a bunch of young kids. Who's going to bring them back together? And then again, we don't talk. I don't know what Malik Nabers is going to look like next year. You're going to have Jaxson Dart out there. Who's he going to throw the ball to? I mean, and if Nabers isn't even 80% at the beginning of the year, what are we going to watch Dart run every play? Because he can't give it to Scatterboo. He coming off the broken leg. So I don't know what to do. I don't know what that situation is going to look like. Philly, even though they got rid of AJ, it's still a house of drama. Something's going to come up. And I think this is what their coach likes. We're going to hear rumors because before AJ, we were hearing about how the quarterback and the coach were beefing with each other. So it's always something going on there. I think they're the most cohesive team in the division. And that which probably makes them the front runners because the other teams have so many question marks. And if we go to my Cowboys, I mean, let's be honest, the only big question mark there is what that defense is looking like. Because if that defense can even stop the little St. Agnes little kids of the poor one time, they're going to be in contention for winning the division. Because they got all the offense in the world. And Will made a comment about Dak throwing. Dak's going to throw a lot of those interceptions were when Dak was trying to keep them on the field or keep them in the game, and part B, or when people are running wrong routes. So I'm not, that part doesn't worry me. Actually, Dak's probably one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL right now. The problem is that defense. If Dak's got to live in a situation where he's got to do it all to try to win a game, Cowboys going to have problems. So it's all going to be about. It's really with the Cowboys where their defense is. If they play decent, you can look at them and Philly fighting for the NFC Championship. If they don't play, we'll have a rerun the net of last year, 9-8, 7-9, whatever it is.
All right, Jamel, what are you thinking about the NFC East team?
So I'm gonna kind of take a different route here. Surprisingly, I like Dallas to win this. I actually think they're the most cohesive group. I'm not sold on Philly. Saquon is older. He has a bunch of miles no one is really talking about. I'm also not sold on Sirianni. And we got to remember what number offensive coordinator is this for Jalen, right? So there's too many question marks for me at that standpoint. George also brings up a good point when it comes to the Giants. We don't know what version of Malik Nabers we're getting. That full stop. The other thing I want to add with the Giants that no one really ever talks about, Jaxson Dart is a Lane Kiffin quarterback. There is a history there of Lane Kiffin quarterbacks not really doing well at the next level. Look at the tape. Look at the tape. So I'm not sold. He kind of got away with it. This year was rookie year. He flexing his gold chain and all that stuff, but we saw him for who he is. I think this is a make or break year for Daniels in Washington. I like the young man. Been a fan of his since he was at LSU. But I think this is a make or break year for him. The wide receiver core is questionable. McLaurin, again, he's kind of long in the tooth. He can produce, but I have concerns there. The Ayuk thing, we don't know what happened with that. He talking about my man moms and all this other stuff. So I think George nailed it. Like, Dallas has been, or it was either Keith, one of you all nailed it. Dallas has been quiet, and that should scare some people. As the rappers used to say, real G's move in silence. So let's see what happens here. But I like Dallas to kind of come out because all the other teams just have too many big question marks or unresolved issues.
Yes, and speaking of unresolved issues, in segment 2, we will dive deep into the players in the NFC East, and I know our panel has some strong opinions. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast.
Today's student-athletes face pro-level challenges without pro-level support. The CKA SAVE project is here to change that. For 16-plus years, Dr. Keith Adams and his team have provided comprehensive academic and athletic support from middle school through post-graduation transitions. NIL guidance, transfer portal navigation, academic coaching, career planning, they've got it covered. The CKA SAVE project. When your future is on the line, experience matters. Learn more at www.ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast, segment 2. Let's talk about some of these players. First of all, Dallas. Got to watch Caleb Downs, the rookie safety, drafted 11th out of Ohio State, has drawn rave reviews and fills an immediate gap. George Pickens and Dak Prescott, they enter camp on franchise tags. So Pickens is playing for a contract. It's always interesting to watch people elevating contract years. The Giants, Jaxson Dart, entering his second season. He is the undisputed starter. Okay, fine. Jameis is backed up there, so you have somebody who could throw an interception or two in case. But that guy takes a lot of hits. And I can't wait for our panel to have that conversation. Malik Nabers and Cam Scatterboo, they're both dynamic playmakers, but they're coming back from knee injuries, and we'll see what happens with that. The Eagles. I am a fan of Jalen Hurts. I think he gets a bum rap because all he does is go to work, go home. That's it. And Will is a captain. Not everybody's rah-rah. You got a really interesting dynamic in every locker room. And I think the guy with that credentials and that credibility gets a lot of heat when all he does is his job. He's not extra. I don't particularly care. I'm not going to hang out with you at the club. I'm going to go home. And I just think that he gets a bum rap with that. And Jayden Daniels for the Commanders can't throw in your back, and I think he does too much. And I don't know how well he's instructed. And if I'm not mistaken, Dan Quinn's a defensive guy, and defensive guys always have a habit of screwing up quarterbacks. Just me. Okay, so I'm going to flip it and say, Doc, I want you to go first. Talk to me about the players you're interested in.
Yeah, so thank you for the layup there, Keith. I meant to mention this in the first segment, so I'm glad you brought it up. I'm watching George Pickens, right? Because he has something to prove. I think he thought he was going to get a big contract this year. Dallas turned around, gave him a franchise tag. So, he has a chip on his shoulder. He has something to prove. So he's the guy I'm really looking for. I think underneath that, it has to be Jalen Hurts, right? Because it's like, okay, we got rid of AJ. Now it's really on you. It's really on him to show and prove that it was AJ and not him that was kind of holding this offense back, in addition to the previous offensive coordinator. And the next third, I would say, to round out the group, it has to be Jayden Daniels. This is make or break for him. So those are the three players that I'm watching really closely this football season coming out of the NFC.
All right. Well, NFC East players to watch, sir. What do you think?
Oh, well, I mean, I want to see what's going on with Caleb Downs. I mean, you take a kid like that, you go up and you grab him in the draft and you let some assets go, and you have some questions. Honestly, if he's one of them kids that can turn around and be what they're saying was in the draft, I mean, Dallas has a chance to win the division. I mean, that kid can ball, and if he is what he is, I think they can rally around that kind of player. New Jaxson Dart. We'll see. I'm waiting for the explosion. I'm waiting for the implosion. Whatever implosion is going to happen. I don't really care. I think it's a joke. I think they got two guys, and I'm talking about two guys who can be not more likable. Jaxson Dart, I mean, come on. The guy came out, show who he was. Cam Scatterboo came out talking about CTE isn't real. So you kind of know where he's aligning with things like that. I mean, it's really hard to root for a team like that when those are kind of guys are being very loud about those kind of things. Philadelphia, I'm with you, Coach, and I'm with you, Jamel. I think, Jalen Hurts gets a bad rap. I think the Doug brother, what he needs to do, he goes in, he does what he has to do. He had 25 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. I mean, the 3-to-1 ratio, a little better than that, maybe 4-to-1, 3-to-1 or something like that, or 4-to-1. Either way, that's what you want from your quarterback. Like Jamel said, now it's on you. Now we have to kind of show you the kind of player you are. Now, one of the things I got to take a step back is I've never always thought Jalen Hurts has been one of those Aaron Rodgers, Joe Burrow, I can throw to anybody kind of quarterback. He needs talent, just like most quarterbacks in the NFL. So, when you're kind of leaning on DeVonta and you're kind of leaning on some other guys and you're unaware, and then you grab the Makai Lemon, and you're like, this is really going to help him out. You still have Saquon. I know he's a little older, so they're going to be a little smarter about him, So we'll see. But I like Jalen Hurts. I really like him. I think that's the only thing that's kind of the baseline for them in Philly. Like, that kid is who he is. And then Commanders, I just want Jayden Daniels. It's all on him. I keep it. We have a lot of other stories that you can talk about. You could talk about the rookie. You could talk about the great things on the defense that they picked up. You could talk about TMC or what they're gonna pick up. It's about JD5, and he has to play smarter. One thing, and two things I really got to mention about him. And most people, I don't know if they mentioned, but there's a lot of smiling. There's a lot of smiling, and don't get me wrong. I think things can be fun. Things can be fun when you're playing well. But I remember he was smiling and giggling and stuff when he fumbled against the Bears game. And he looked on, he's laughing, he's dusting his hands, smiling, and then I'm like, that's not funny to me. And a winner, somebody like that would take offense to that. So I really hope he takes not only his on-field maturity, but even like his personal maturity in terms of how you approach the game, how you take losses, how you take wins, things like that. This is probably a big off season. He hasn't really been on commercials and things like that, so I think that's a good thing. And it kind of leans on his mama to do that stuff, but I need him to really make that next leap. Like Jamel says, you got to make that next leap, because it'll be really hard for me to pay that kind of money, which he's gonna get, and with a lot of question mark. I want a less question mark. So I'd rather it be 8-8, 8-9, 9-8, but he had an amazing season. I feel cool with that as a baseline, and anything less, I'd be really have a lot of questions about his future in DC.
All right, George, we're going to close out with you, sir. What players do you have an eye on the NFC East?
Well, my number one player in the NFC East is DeVonta Smith. And he becomes my number one player because A.J. Brown has gone. DeVonta Smith was allowed to be the deep threat, and be open because A.J. caught all the double teams on that side and stuff like that. And that's gone now. Devontae's only 165 pounds wet with rocks in pockets. I don't think he can take that pound and going over the middle. So it's interesting. You brought up Jalen Hurts.
He's not going to throw over the middle anyway.
Jalen Hurts is one of those. Jalen Hurts, but see, the thing about it, Jalen Hurts is the perfect quarterback for that system they run. They don't have him in a system where he needs to be dropped back, throw 30 times a game. So, how is it going to, how are they going to adapt? How are they going to change? What with DeVonta Smith, where you got to expand his role? How are they going to do that? And because I can see him, getting caught one time, might get carried out on the stretcher if necessary. Because he's 165 pounds. He's not big. So that's my concern right there. Dallas's whole concern is the defense. Period. Point blank. That's it. Like I said in an earlier segment, if they come to play, Dallas is not winners of the NFC East in contention as winners of the NFC East. So that's going to be big. Washington, Jayden Daniels is the guy to look at, but for another reason for me, it's not about his maturity or anything like that. It's does he stay upright? Because that's my big one. I worry about him with injury because in the past they haven't been able to protect him. So can they keep him upright? Even when they were winning, he was getting hit with bombs. And it's like, we got to do something better when you got a talent like that. And in New York, that what is going to come out of Jaxson Dart or Scatterboo's mouth that's going to be somebody going to see as defensive. That I'm waiting for it to happen because it's going to happen. You're already going into camp with a bunch of rumblings in the locker room. Things not being perfect. The minute they cross that line or say something stupid, which they're going to, how's that going to affect it? Because Harbaugh ain't going to be able to hold it together. And like I said, they better go get Martin Luther King.
They got Jameis in the locker room, so you got just as good and half as cheap.
But Jameis cannot, when it gets on the situation where it takes on a racial tone or this whole political mess that we're in right now, not even Jameis can hold it together. Jameis might, and look at it, I don't know what that offense is going to look like. Jameis might have to come in and throw 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions and win 50% of the game. Because for every touchdown he throws an interception. Only quarterback you ever known for 4,000 yards. Lead the league in touchdowns and 33 interceptions. He's the only one you ever know. So,
all right. So, fans, in segment 3, we will talk about things strictly for entertainment purposes only as we do win totals. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast. Hi, everyone. Dr. Keith Adams here. And for over 30 years, I've dedicated my life to helping student athletes succeed, not just on the fields and the courts, but in the classroom and beyond. And that's why I founded the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project understands that finding the balance between academics and athletics is crucial for long-term success. That's why the CKA Save Project offers a range of programs, including personalized consulting, mentorship, and coming in 2027, our innovative Gap Year Basketball Academy designed to assist both young men and women reach their full potential both on and off the court. I'm incredibly excited to announce that the CK Save Project is now partnering with the Cascade Sports Network. This partnership will allow us the opportunity to amplify our message and reach even more student athletes through the Odd Coaches Podcast and other exciting initiatives. Join the CKA Save Project and the Cascade Sports Network as we empower the next generation of student athletes. Visit CKA on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org to learn more. Let's work together to find the balance and help unlock your potential. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast in segment 3. All right, let's talk win totals. So, Dallas, over under 10 wins. Giants, over under 7 wins. Eagles, over under 10.5. and the Commanders over under 7.5. Wilcott, you are our prognosticator. What do you think about the NFC East win totals?
Same thing they had last year. We have the Commanders, Giants going under, and I got the Eagles and the Cowboys going over. Really?
I have not made my thoughts yet, so I'm listening intently. George, what are you thinking about the NFC East win total?
I think I can get down with the Cowboys at the 10, maybe over. What, Eagles were 10 and over too?
10.5.
10.5. Yeah, I can get down with that. I don't know about the Giants. What were they? What'd you have them at? 6?
7.
7? I don't know about the Giants at 7. And the Redskins, where are they at? Or I'm sorry, the Commanders.
7.5.
7.5. I can get that. I got the under on it with the Giants. I got the under with the Giants.
All right, Doc, what are you thinking about the NFC's win total?
I got Dallas over. I got Philly under, Giants under, and I'm gonna say Washington is over.
They make me nervous. That's a tough schedule. That opening 5 weeks. Just
Yeah, I think Josh McDaniels, having Josh McDaniels. No, he's not with them. I know they looked at him. I was thinking about his relationship with Dan Quinn when he was drinking and all that. My fault. I got faith. I got faith in Jayden.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you what scares me though. If you look at Dan Quinn teams, those first year or so they're good, and then they have a dramatic fall off. It happened in Atlanta also. So I don't know. I'll put this out. I think 2 playoff teams will come out the NFC East.
So, quick question though: how much of that is Dan versus Cliff Kingsbury?
Oh God!
Because I feel like I figure Cliff always gets that 1 year, and then the folks study the film.
Sorry, man. I'm a Cliff Kingsbury falling up the ladder guy.
He hates Cliff. I don't think this is Cliff. See, I don't think
Feel up the ladder.
I don't think this is Cliff.
You know how he feels up the ladder.
I know. I tell you what, I don't know if this is Cliff as much as investment in the offensive line.
Cliff got scapegoated.
Not when he was in Arizona. I'm talking about right now. Cliff ain't scapegoat. Cliff ain't the scapegoat.
I don't even know where he went. Where did he go?
He didn't get a job, really, I don't think.
I thought he had a job.
Did he
I
get
thought he had a good one. We won't belabor the point. I'll tell you that. So, on behalf, Will, you can talk over me if you find out something. On behalf of our cavalcade stars, Dr. Keith Adams, not looking for where Cliff Kingsbury went, saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches Podcast, the global authority on coaching leadership, where coaching wisdom meets real talk. Also seen on the Cascade Sports Network, and we will see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care and fill up the ladder like Cliff Kingsbury.
He's on the Rams.
Yep.
Fill up the ladder. Okay.
Bailing up the ladder. Bailing up the ladder.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches Podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Follow the Odd Coaches Podcast on the X platform at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Keith Adams and the CKA Save Project on social media at CKA Save Project. For more information about the CKA Save Project, visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.